Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you. This is really an interesting dynamic. We just spent some time together with Senator Romney touring the I-80 project, which is really the largest project that we have invested the infrastructure money on in the state of Utah, the single largest investment with the infrastructure money. And here we're in a neighborhood at a fairly small bridge. It's a big bridge for this neighborhood, but a fairly small bridge. And it really speaks to the power of this infrastructure bill and how much of a difference it's going to make for the state of Utah. You know, we have different, I call it different colors of money. So we receive money from federal highways and even money from the state that along with it comes certain types of projects we can do with it. We can do certain things on certain roads. And we haven't been able to help out our local government partners and be able to help fund bridges such as the one that we're standing by right now. This bridge needs to be replaced, and we are able to with the infrastructure money. We've programmed, we call it formula money. We get about $46 million every year out of the 5-year authorizing bill, and we're able to now program, I think it's 78 bridges out of the total of 90 bridges that we've programmed. So the rest are state bridges, but we're really focusing on trying to improve these local bridges. And it's really, I think the differences that we see of an I-80 serving hundreds of thousands of people a day, and this bridge that is servicing this neighborhood. And I will bet you that the folks in this neighborhood would say this is the most important bridge in their lives because it allows them to get to where they need to be. And so I want to thank Senator Romney for his help in passing the infrastructure bill and his help in working with us as we go to Washington and we say we need help with this project or that project. And he's been tremendously helpful to help us get those projects done in the state of Utah. I first met Senator Romney during the Olympics. I was the deputy director at the department, and he came in and kind of cleaned up things a little bit there for tremendously successful games. And it's been a pleasure to continue to work with the senator during his tenure in the Senate. So, Senator, turn the time to you here for a few minutes.
Thank you. And Carmen is, tell us what you're doing with regards to this project.
So I'm Carmen Swanwick, Project Development Director, and so when the Bridge Formula Program came to the department, we run that through our structures program, and we were able to use that money to prioritize 90 bridges that we could replace with this funding, which is really important because, as Carlos said, 78 of those are to help the locals when there's really like the color of money we didn't have to help them. Yeah. So for us, it's really oversight and working with the local communities to make this happen.
Great. Carmen, Carlos, thank you. I have to tell you, I come away as a citizen of our state more appreciative of the people in our state that have expertise, like Carlos and Carmen, and the expertise to actually build some of these structures, design them, engineer them, build them. I was out this morning on I-80 and 215 looking at the bridge at 13th East, and I have to 13th West, rather.
13th East.
13th East, all right, I got it right. 13th East, the bridge is basically square. It's as wide as it is long, massively heavy, and we got out and walked around. We walked along on I-80, and they're able to have how many cars a day? 100,000 vehicles a day go along that highway. And the traffic has not been interrupted. They're able to keep the traffic moving at the same time replacing the entire roadway and bridges. And as you walk along that construction site, and there's a little barrier there, you've seen them, these little movable concrete barriers, you're no longer further than maybe 5 feet from cars going by at, well, they're supposed to go by at 55 miles an hour, but they're going by a lot faster than that. And there are workers there that are standing within 4 or 5 feet of these cars zooming by, and they're able to do their work and carry it out, allow us to move across the state in a way that's not impeded by this construction and replace infrastructure that's badly in need of replacing. Like a small bridge like this, but a big one like that on 13th East and I-80. And you just have to tip your hat to the people across our state that have the expertise to design these projects and implement them, and the guys and gals that are actually working on the job site. And in some respects, taking some personal risk. There have been some close calls where there's been a vehicle out of control that could have taken out a life, and it's really, really extraordinary. So we're lucky We're lucky to have expertise like we have at UDOT. And, you know, I have not always lived in Utah. As you know, I lived somewhere else once upon a time. And I have to tell you, UDOT is pretty darn impressive. I've seen some other states. What UDOT does, getting projects done on time, without impeding traffic, and on budget, it's the exception, not the rule. And we in our state ought to be very, very proud of the quality of the work and the capacity of the leadership and the workers that make this team so successful. So with that, we'll turn to any questions you might have. Yeah. And hopefully none. Uh-oh, there's a question. Yeah, yeah.
Why wasn't this bill more popular in Congress? So between the two chambers, there were still a couple hundred no votes.
Yeah, well, you know, the infrastructure bill was negotiated by a group of roughly 10 senators, 5 Republicans and 5 Democrats, and I was one of those. It's not perfect. For something to pass, for something to become law in our country, requires both parties to agree. And it's always easy for the base of either party to say, well, it's not what I would have gotten. I would have gotten something that just I liked, and all the money went to my state. Well, but if you want to get it passed, you have to find something that meets in the middle. And that's what we were able to do. When President Trump was in office, he wanted to spend $2 trillion on infrastructure. And our bill came up with about $1.2 trillion, so substantially less. But it got the infrastructure projects that are high priority put in place. And here in our state, we're seeing bridges replaced, highways replaced. And actually, the idea that local bridges like this, which had not been qualified for these dollars in the past, are now able to use this money so that we can improve the quality of life for these communities or maintain it is a good thing. So I'm proud of what we did. And you know, if you don't get some people mad, well, you haven't done anything important.
And just to give you a sense, so for the infrastructure bill for Utah DOT, it means about $526 million coming into the state on what we call formula funds. So that comes in every year for the 5-year bill that was passed. And we obviously also apply for some discretionary money as well, and that's, you know, putting in for grants. But that base money, you know, adds up to about $2.6 billion for the state of Utah over the 5-year bill. It's pretty significant.
Senator, what are your thoughts on tonight's primary debates?
May the best man or woman win. I think it's unfortunate that President Trump won't be there. I'm sure the people that are on the stage will remind the viewers that he's not there. It's a chance for people to get a sense of the different people who want to potentially run for President of the United States. And I think it's likely that 1 or 2 will stand out. There's usually a moment or 2 in a debate that is you know, highlighted in the reels afterwards, and I think you'll see a couple of people stand forward. I hope at some point the field consolidates. You can't have 8 people all running against 1. At some point it needs to get down to a 1-on-1 race, but I don't know who that one person will be. I'm not going to endorse anybody. That would be the kiss of death. But I sure hope we get it narrowed down.
Any other questions?
I'd like to ask you about the shooting in Provo a couple of weeks ago, the FBI showing up to arrest a man accused of threatening President Biden. What do you make of how the FBI handled that matter?
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the incident reports from law enforcement or from other community groups that have looked at it, so I really can't comment on that. So until we do, you know, I'll hold my opinion in abeyance. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Good to see you. Coming out on the highways. And when you're driving by a construction site, I mean, do look at the speed limit. I mean, I have to tell you now and then, if I'm coming along and I'm driving 70 miles an hour, and then I see a sign that says, oh, now it's 55 because there's work going on. Maybe I make that adjustment or not. I should. But now, having walked along where those workers are, I realize how important it is to make that adjustment, slow down. And it's hard for the troopers to actually enforce the speed limit there because there's no place they can pull someone over. They can't set up a radar operation right there. So it's relying on the goodwill of our drivers to say, you know what, we got our fellow Utahns there that are at really severe risk, and we need to slow down and make sure they're safe.
Thank you for
that
PSA.
All right. Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.